it's a very important safety system and it can potentially save your life. Hello and welcome back to the Volks Wizard channel, and welcome to the first video in a new series entitled Workshop Wednesdays, in which I post a workshop video on a Wednesday. Now, I did start posting workshop videos on a new separate channel, but because YouTube is proving very tough at the moment, I've decided it's best that I focus all my attention on this, the main channel. Now, in today's video, we're going to look at a problem affecting many Audis, and that relates to the emergency call SOS system. Back in 2018, the European Commission decided that all new cars sold in Europe should be equipped with a telematics system that automatically contacts the emergency services in the event of a serious accident. Now, this sounds like a really good idea, but unfortunately it's proving very unreliable. There are numerous issues on cars across the Volkswagen Group, many affecting cars when they are brand new. Today, though, we're going to focus on a problem affecting A4, S4, A5, S5 and RS4 models from the 2019-2020 model year facelift, like my Audi S4 TDI behind me. But before we talk about the solution, let's talk about the problem. Okay, so if your car is suffering from this problem, you will have seen on the dashboard a yellow warning that states emergency call function fault, function partially available, please contact workshop, and this will be preceded by a beep. It could be a static fault in that it's there when you start the car up and is always there when you're driving. It could be an intermittent fault that might occur a few minutes after you set off driving, and it could occur numerous times during a journey. And that's actually when it's even more annoying, because the beep is very loud and distracting. Interestingly, the SOS function system warning light on the roof module remains green because, as it says in the warning, the function is still available. The problem occurs because there are three aerials, and for the system to work reliably, all three of them need to be working. If one of them is faulty, then we get this fault. So there shouldn't be any infotainment problems, Bluetooth connection problems. If you've got that, that's something else that does tend to manifest itself on cars when they're nearly new. They should mostly have been sorted out by now. To make 100% sure your car has got the fault we're going to talk about today, though, you need to do a fault code scan with either OBDELEVEN or VCDS. Scan the telematics module, and you should be looking for a fault relating to the emergency call module antenna 1, and it can be either open circuit or short to ground. If you have got that fault, then the solution we're going to talk about now will apply. Okay, before we talk about the solution, well, actually there are three different solutions we're going to talk about. I just want to point out that there are videos on YouTube that suggest you can pull out fuses and fully disable the SOS system, and that will fix the problem. Well, I don't think that's a very good idea, because it's a very important safety system and it can potentially save your life. I know cars have been fine for many decades without this system, but now we've got the technology. I think it's important that we keep it operational, and I don't think your insurer will be very happy if you disabled it. There was a crash with some young people in a Mark 1 Tiguan that crashed somewhere not particularly remote, but it wasn't found for nearly 2 days, and when they found the car, they found, I think, 2 or 3 bodies inside it. And potentially, if the SOS system had operated and called the emergency services, telling them exactly where they'd crashed, those lives may not have been lost. So yeah, it's really important that it works. Now, the first solution is a bit of a compromise. Basically, you're just going to tell the telematics control module that it's only got 2 of the 3 aerials attached to it. So basically, you go into the long coding and you tell it that aerial 1 isn't there, and that will stop the yellow fault appearing on the dashboard, and the green light will stay on the SOS system. I've actually run the car like this for a couple of weeks just to check it, and it's been really reliable, at least here in the UK. Well, maybe the mobile phone signal is better than other parts of the world, so I think that's okay. The only problem with that, though, is that because it still senses an aerial is physically connected to the control module, you will have an incorrect installation fault stored, which isn't ideal. But if you just want to get rid of the warning on the dash, then that's fine. Solution number 2, then, if you're not very happy about faults on the car, which I wouldn't be, then what you need to do is strip out the back of the car, the boot floor, on the case of this A4 Avant, and get to the telematics control module, which sits on the passenger side of a UK car behind the rear seat. So it's actually under the boot floor. Some of the images that Erwin give you are a bit, should we say, ambiguous, and they look like the module might be in the side locket. So you have to unbolt the boot floor because it's a mild hybrid car. It doesn't just lift up. So there's a bit of a procedure to get all that out, and then you'll see the module. And if you look at it from the back, the aerials go into it on the right-hand corner. It's a 4-pin plug with 3 aerials attached to it, and antenna number 1 is on the bottom right-hand side. If you pop off the little plastic clip on the multi-plug, you will then be able to pull that antenna out, and then once you've done the recoding and told the system there's no antenna attached there, you won't get any fault codes. And as I said, the system should still work. If you're still not happy with that, and I'm not, and you want to make sure the system is working 100%, then it's a little bit more involved, and that basically involves replacing the cable from the control module to the aerial and or the antenna unit on the roof. So let's just go to the back of the car and I'll show you exactly what you need to do a proper job. Okay, so if you're going to do this job, it's best to do it on a dry day if you're working outside, because you're going to have to open the doors and dismantle bits of trim, and you don't want to do that when rain is coming in. Today was meant to be a dry day. I'm not sure it knows which way it's going to go, so we'll just do our best we can today. Now, I did a lot of research on this problem on the internet, and to be honest, there wasn't a lot of good advice, apart from a couple of references to technical service bulletins. These are documents produced by Audi when there's a common problem on a car. It advises the dealership how to repair the problem without invoicing them for more money than is necessary. So in this case, it states there's a fault code that relates to the antenna 1. It can either be open circuit or ground. It can either be intermittent or static, as we talked about earlier. It says 2020 model year, which is the first model year of the B9.5 product improvement facelift, which is what we have here. And it says customer complains that the emergency call function fault partially available is shown, etc. And then it says replace the cable from the emergency call control module to the aerial, which is the one on the roof here, and also replace the antenna. Now, I did say and or earlier because they're not a job you need to combine necessarily. So if you find that the cable fixes the problem, then you don't need to replace the antenna. If that doesn't fix the problem, then replace the antenna because it costs £200. The cable, I reckon you can get for much less than that. There is a slight complication there though. The main length of cable is a generic FACRA female to female cable that goes from the aerial to an adapter cable that adapts a FACRA male to a pin basically that goes into that plug. That's kind of an unusual connection, that pin, and the only way I've been able to find that is to actually buy the adapter cable, which Audi states in this technical service bulletin. Part number is 000098714. I got B, which gave me a male end on it. I reckon maybe without the B you might have a female end, because the full length of cable they list is part number 4N1971650A. When I've Googled that, it's got male one end, female the other. I'd buy the adapter cable from Audi. I don't know how much it's going to be. I bought one from Parts House. The only one they had in stock cost me £22.50 delivered. I reckon it's probably about 40 quid, which is a lot of money for a little cable, but you can save money on the main run of cable just by ordering it from Amazon. I did that and it came next day and cost under £10 for 3 meters, which I thought would be ample. Basically, we're only going from here to down here, but the way it runs, you might actually want 5 meters, but 3 meters will do. That's what we've got today. So let's have a look in the boot and I'll show you what you've got to dismantle to run the new cable and how to get access to the roof aerial. Okay, let's start off then by getting access to the telematics control module where the aerial is connected to. By the way, I should have pointed out this fault occurs because of water ingress to a seal, presumably somewhere in the aerial vicinity. That's what's stated on the technical service bulletin. Okay, so the telematics control module is hidden away, maybe deliberately so you can't mess with it because it is a mandatory requirement. It's just underneath, on this car, underneath this tool section at the back of the boot floor. This, I should point out, is a mild hybrid car, so we don't have a spare wheel, and this boot floor it's attached more securely than it would be if you had a spare wheel, because it's not designed to be lifted up. There's loads of dangerous and expensive electronics down there they don't really want you to fiddle around with, so it's a bit fiddly to get it out. So what I did was I undid the lashing eyes from the side here, which allowed these side sections to come out, and then I was able to remove the boot floor, which you can see clips in to those side sections. And then with that out of the way, just put it down carefully. Oops, not that way around. It's got a little tab that locates into the tool bit. Okay, that goes in there, the little tab. And then that allows this section to come out completely. There are some little clips as well that locate things, so just pop them open and pull them out. And that should then allow you to remove this tool section. So just push that down like that. Tricky with one hand, but not impossible. And that's out. Put that down carefully. A good time, by the way, to clean out your boot floor. There's inevitably bits of tree and sand in there in an estate car like this, maybe bits of dog as well. So there we have the telematics control module. So if you want to make the modification to the aerial without doing the proper job, then this is what you do. Fold the back seat down, give you good access, and then this is the original antenna 1 cable that goes in the bottom right hand corner of this black plug, so just down here. And then you can just undo the plug, tricky with one hand. And then on the side of here there is a little plastic clip that secures the pins into the plug. Pop that off, and then you can just pull the original cable out like that, plug that back in, disable it with VCDS, and you're good to go working on 2 antenna, which for me has worked fine. But I'm not happy with that job. So what I've done now is connected this adapter cable. This is a genuine Volkswagen Audi part, as stated in the technical service bulletin, although this one has a B on the end, which gives us the male connection on this FACRA connection, like so. And then that's connected to a female FACRA cable here, which is 3 meters long, that was off Amazon, 10 quid. And now this has to be run to the aerial. So the aerial is another story. So this is the piece of trim that obscures the aerial. So as you can see, it has to come out towards you, and when you pull it off, you'll see these little black clips will be on it loose, so you need to slot them back onto these clips here, and that exposes the aerial, which you can hopefully just make out in there where all those cables are. Blue connector is the new cable. Now, to get access to it, you have to pop the back of the headliner down, and there's this clip here that needs these 2 prongs pushing in. I made this tool out of a retro radio removal tool, just bent the ends around to push it in like that. So don't force it, because if you break it, you could be in trouble. So that's the base of the aerial. If you need to remove it, there is a sort of fastener in the middle of it, but what we're doing today is just replacing the cable. So the old one should be floating around here somewhere. There it is. So this is the aerial we've disconnected because it's faulty, and that is the one at the back of the aerial, so nearest you, and on the right hand side there are 3 aerial connections, so blue at the front, dark red on the left, and I think this one is just plain black. And you can see this is a right angle connector, but it's impossible to buy these, so what we've got here instead is the just standard FACRA, but there's enough room for the cable to bend round before it hits the headliner, so that's fine. Now, this is the tricky bit, and I haven't got any idea how Audi do this, how long they take or allow for this job, but you need to run the cable from here down here to the telematics control module, and because it's an Audi and there's lots of tech and it's very well made, This is a very hard job to do. I followed this. It comes here, the cable does, and then it goes somewhere into the C-pillar, into the quarter panel. You can pop this bit out easily, which helps a bit. That's the new cable. And then this trim here that goes on the sill step for the driver's side rear on a UK car exposes the loom here. It's a bit between sort of here and here that I've not been able to trace, and I really don't want to strip it down. It's not worth creating rattles and breaking clips and stuff to do this. So I've run the cable down here, into here, through this side trim, pops out here somewhere. You can see it down there. A good tip is to remove the seat base, because this is a very easy job to do. So you disconnect the cover off the Isofix connector, then the plastic trim that sits in the seat, just I think push that down, pull it forward, and that's all that holds it in at the back. And then there are clips down here, which are just like a Mark V Golf, that go into those things there. Push the seat back and then pull, otherwise you might break the clip, and they just pop up. And this gives you a lot more room to work without risk of breaking clips. Let's just move that along. So you can fold this down, and then you need to get the cable down to here. This is where the original aerial antenna run down. Now they take a very circuitous route. This is why 5 meters might actually allow you to follow the original route, because from there they go to this module, and then they carry on down to the front of the back seat in here, and then they come across here and then down here and up into there. So 5 meters actually might be a good idea. I thought it would be just leave a load of spare cable that would look messy, so I went for 3. I think 5 meters is just £1.50 more, so might be worth doing that. Okay, so let's put all this back together and see if just replacing the cable on this car fixes the problem. Okay, well, that's the car all back together. It would have been a lot easier if I hadn't left it 2 weeks from when I took this area apart to when I put it back together while I was researching the video. So when you take it apart, just remember the order things come out, because it can get quite complicated. I would recommend you don't disturb the sill cover for the driver's side rear, because that's easy to get out without undoing much else, but it's really hard to get it back in. And clearly in the factory, they've done it in a different order that makes it really easy. So yeah, you don't really need to do that. With the back seat up, you should be able to run the cable from here with this cubby pulled out and run that to the back seat and then up to the telematics control module right there. Now, there is a way you can test that you've done a good job and the system is now working. You might want to do this before you put the car back together, just in case something isn't working correctly. I don't know, maybe you've forgotten to plug it in or something like that. So let's go and do that now. We're going to use OBDELEVEN just because my laptop battery is currently dead. Okay, let's turn the ignition on and hope we don't hear a bong warning. That's just the usual bong to say the door's open. That's a good start. Plug OBDELEVEN into the OBD, the diagnostic port. So we've got everything running. We're going to connect to the car. Okay, so it's just reading the control units. There are quite a few on this car, so this takes quite a long time. Okay, we don't want to do a scan though, so we're going to go into vehicle and we're going to go into control units, find telematics, which is quite a long way down. 75. And we might as well clear the faults. So there were 3 faults when we were fiddling around earlier for all 3 aerials when it was unplugged. Clear those. Go back, and now live data. And we need to narrow it down, so we're going to search for emergency call. And then we don't need battery or speaker or that one. We just want the first 3, which is mobile communications antenna 1, 2, and 3 for emergency call module and communications. And then let's have a look at those. Okay, so here we now have the 3 aerials, and it tells us things for each one. Connection to antenna, electrical okay, it says voltage and reception level. And now number 1 is fine. It's just like the other 2. Previously, when I scanned it with VCDS or read the live data with VCDS, to be more exact, it said open circuit. So it's quite happy. And that is a job well done. So, as ever, guys, thank you for watching this Volkswagen video, the first Workshop Wednesday video. If you've enjoyed it, do give it a thumbs up. Please comment, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one very soon.